A cockroach as thick as a finger was pulled out of his ear. Not long ago, a man was clutching his head in agony, claiming a monster was eating his brain. He desperately called 911. When paramedics arrived, he could only scream that his brain was almost gone. Seeing his frantic state, they suspected drug abuse or mental illness. They tried to examine him, but he insisted he had to keep moving, or the monster would dig deeper.
Okay, grab me the ammo. You think he's going into cardiac arrest? It's not for him.
A paramedic snuck behind him and injected the liquid right into his ear canal.
What the hell?
To his surprise, the monster inside stopped moving. They had him lay on his side to see what was causing the nightmare. What they saw horrified everyone. The thought of that thing inside an ear made everyone sick. Oh. The rescue was disgusting, but mission accomplished.
That was revolting. Oh, and you were incredible.
He jumped from the second floor and his arm ended up speared on a metal fence. He had been in this position for a while, almost baked into human jerky by the sun. Firefighters were shocked. Saving him wouldn't be easy. If they just pulled him off, the pain alone would kill him. The captain ordered a power saw to cut him out along with the fence, but the heat from the cutting was unbearable, so they had to cool him down while sawing. Soon, he was carried away with a massive section of the fence. Then a new problem appeared. He went into fibrillation. They had to remove the fence to save him. Removing it might kill him, but keeping it in meant they couldn't perform CPR. At the critical moment, the firefighters quickly cut off the spikes on the fence.
On me! Ready! Pull! 1, 2, 3! Pull him out for me. Okay, here we go. Shocking at 2, stand by.
After 2 shocks, his heart started beating again. Who knows if the later medical bills will make his heart stop all over again. The man just wanted a dental fix, but the dentist ended up sealing his entire mouth shut. The arriving paramedics were stunned by the dentist's disastrous mistake. The intern was nearly in tears, explaining she only intended to make a plaster mold for the customer. Instead, the man's mouth was glued solid and couldn't be opened. Worse still, when the paramedics picked up a dental drill, the man was terrified and tried desperately to dodge. The paramedics warned that further struggling might result in a sliced lip. They began grinding away the hardened plaster with the drill. By now, the man had given up resisting, praying for the agonizing process to end quickly. After a long period of grinding, the plaster around his lips was finally cleared. She told the man to try opening his mouth, but it was still stuck. Another paramedic decided to step in and give him a hand. With a loud, sharp crack, his mouth flew open, though his jaw appeared dislocated. The operation was terrifying, but the stubborn mold was finally broken. Now, the man just needs to be sent to the hospital to have the remaining adhesive and the mold removed. A tiny drone actually managed to take down a multi-ton helicopter. Half of the helicopter was hanging precariously off the edge of the roof. Fortunately, no one on board was injured, but fuel had leaked into the building, causing smoke to pour out of the entire structure. Debris from the helicopter was scattered across the entire block, creating a scene of total chaos. Firefighters climbed the aerial ladder to reach the roof. The pilot kept banging on the cabin door, causing the aircraft to shake even more violently as fragments continuously fell. Firefighters quickly used ropes to secure the wreckage. The pilot claimed it felt like they were hit by a bird before he was successfully pulled out. As the other passengers were rescued, the ropes holding the fuselage were on the verge of snapping. At the critical moment, the firefighters grabbed the rear ropes just in time.
Yeah, we need to secure this line. Okay, we got you. Get out now.
Following the trail of falling debris, the firefighters discovered the downed rotor blades in another neighborhood. A woman was pinned deep under the fallen rotor. Firefighters tried to lift it, but underestimated its massive weight. Luckily, the soft soil beneath allowed her to breathe.
Nice piece of jewelry you got here.
Please, don't make me laugh.
All right, sorry. Enough with the funny business, right?
As the rotor was dismantled, the woman was successfully freed. Firefighters then found a drone tangled in the blades, the true culprit. They also noticed a bloody handprint on a nearby garage door. Following the blood trail, they found a young boy lying on the ground with his face covered in blood, clutching a remote control.
My dad said not to fly it without him. Now Jack's gonna die.
The brothers' rooftop drone flying had caused the crash, and the younger one was missing. They found him by a high-voltage transformer, legs snagged in wire, near sparking live lines. Ignoring the danger, a firefighter moved in and cut the wire.
Alive. Hold still.
apart!
The boy was safely loaded into an ambulance just as the father arrived. If I were him, the son who caused this mess would be getting the beating of a lifetime. A man rushed into the fire station holding a child, screaming desperately for help. The firefighters told him to lay the girl on the ground immediately. At this moment, her face had turned purple, and blood was even streaming from her eyes.
She was eating, and then her eyes...
To make room to save the girl, the firefighters pulled the man to the side first. The paramedics determined the girl was choking. She had tried so hard to cough it up that the extreme pressure caused her eyes to bleed. They performed the Heimlich maneuver, but it didn't seem to be working. The frantic man couldn't understand, could eating a simple hot dog really be this dangerous? A paramedic brought over the emergency kit, lifting the laryngoscope and forceps to reach into the girl's throat, trying to pull the foreign object out. However, it was stuck so deep that they kept missing it by just a fraction of an inch.
Damn it, one more push.
After a grueling operation, they finally pulled out half a hot dog. The man breathed a sigh of relief as the girl regained her breath, though she still needed to go to the hospital for further examination. So, no matter what a child is eating, you must never let your guard down.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, come with us.
Yes, ma'am.
A mail carrier fell into a massive sinkhole. The ground suddenly collapsed, with soil and rocks constantly falling. Firefighters ordered the truck to move back to prevent a second collapse. The woman was 5 meters deep, screaming for help and struggling to breathe. Heavy rocks fell, and in the blink of an eye, she was buried up to her waist. Firefighters needed lots of wood for support, so they had to take it from a nearby house's fence. The homeowner watched in a daze as they hauled his fence away. By now, the woman in the pit was fading fast. After securing the support, a firefighter went down, tied a safety rope around her, and used the ladder to hoist her out.
Get out of here! Let's move! Let her in!
The woman cried with joy, thankful to be alive. So, watch where you're walking, and whatever you do, don't be stupid enough to step on those manhole covers. Firefighters never expected someone to crash a car right into the station. They thought it was a drunk driver, but it turned out to be a 10-year-old boy.
My mom's about to have a baby!
Because it happened so suddenly and he had nowhere else to turn, the boy drove straight to the station, knowing the people there would help.
Yeah, it is. Foster, grab me the OB kit. On it!
The paramedics prepared for an immediate delivery on site. Hearing his mother's painful screams, the boy was terrified that his driving had caused her injuries. The firefighters quickly comforted him. Despite being in extreme pain, the mother still managed to reassure her son.
You did so good, baby.
Soon, a baby girl was born safely.
Your sister there? You're a big reason she's here.
However, during this heartwarming moment, the boy didn't smile. He looked deeply troubled instead. The woman and baby were then sent to the hospital. The boy's father finally appeared.
Are you mad?
What? No, son.
Your son drove his mom right up to the firehouse where he knew there were a lot of men and women ready to help. I'd never seen anything like it.
His brilliant son had saved both his wife and daughter, so the man was too happy to be mad. The only strange thing was how the boy had learned to drive.
Xbox.
Thank you.
Of course.
Only then did the boy finally show a relaxed smile.
Would you like to go meet your baby daughter?
More than anything,